Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Rise and Shine. Of course, we continue in our conversations this morning. Packed program, and we talking martial arts this morning. I don't have the posture down cork, but I'm sure after this interview, I'll get a little display to be better equipped to show you my martial arts experience, which I don't have. But we have with us on set Coach Fletcher and Sensei Grant. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Of course, the Martial Arts Association of Tobago has been in existence for quite some time, but now the advancement of, how would I put it? I would say program, but you would correct me in terms of what other disciplines are coming into the fray. That's the purpose of this morning's conversation. So I know recently you all were part of a tournament last Saturday. Let's start there. What took place last Saturday?
Right. So last Saturday we had the submission only competition. It's directed only for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art of grappling and takedowns and all this, style of martial art, dealing with the ground and submissions. So we had a competition going off for submissions only, all right, where there's no time limit and there is no points rewarded for any types of progression. So with that, then, you have to use the rawest part of your actual skill and your knowledge basis to overcome your opponent. We had a good showing. We had quite a lot of people show up. It should have been more, but unfortunately, because of the long weekend, a lot of Trinidadians could not come across due to struggles with travel. But we did have a fair decent show out. We had a seminar that took place for 1 week prior to that with the Budokan and also Ryan Academy. And we had a good number from them come out right from here in Tobago. Awesome showing, some beautiful talent. Can't stress it.
Now, I mean, submission speaks for itself, but based on what you're describing there, I know the situation with regards to travel prevented persons coming from Trinidad, but how has been the demand or the interest among the Tobago martial arts students in terms of embracing this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Here in Tobago, you get like a little bit of a mix. So there is a lot of people who seem to believe that martial arts is a negative thing, right? Martial arts is nothing but a positive thing. I can't stress that enough. Here in Tobago, there is a lot of young men and women who have like a natural warrior in them. So they have a lot of fight in them. And it takes intelligence. So it doesn't matter if you do karate, if you do boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo, it doesn't matter. It takes a high level of intelligence and it takes a high level of being able to handle pressure, which naturally comes with life. So what I always try to push to people is that you should get your kids involved, right? It teaches them how to handle life and how to handle the pressures of life, how to overcome difficult situations so that they can actually progress further in life. And then when they come up to hard points in relevant stages in their life, they already know how to overcome this because they would have faced something quite similar in their martial art career. I don't want people to ever think that martial arts is a thing that you just learn and that's it. Because you have the ability to open businesses in the line of martial arts. You have championships, becoming a world champion, representing your country under martial arts. As we know, a lot of fighters now, they get quite good money paid just for being in the line of martial arts. And it goes beyond that, understanding the body to physiology, who wants to do physiotherapy and all these different things. So understanding the body and the movement and the self-discipline. When it comes to money and happiness, we all depend on discipline. Anybody who is not actually having that good discipline will actually find themselves struggling in life, consistently always having a problem. So having these fundamental bases is very, very strong. So the interest we have here in Tobago, we have quite a few people, funnily enough. We understand that life happens. So the more that we have this association going on here in Tobago, we're trying to push a big hub where everybody could come to, knowing that they can get their martial arts done, get the right people around them, the good teachers, you understand, to teach them a good basis of life so they can move forward and then build themselves. You know, we have to come back to community again.
We have one of the good teachers based here in Tobago, Sensei Grant, with us on set. And I mean, we're speaking to the workshop and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu part of it. But in terms of the students that would have come through the ranks, just based on your time that you tirelessly spend with them, are you seeing, and I know the answer would be yes, but what exactly satisfy your work or your role as a member of the association in the Tobago space, when we look at the disciplines, but also the discipline that you are seeing these students take up and embody on a day-to-day basis, because you would be having that first-hand interaction with them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just say good morning to everyone. Now, we at the Martial Arts Association of Tobago, what we're trying to do is, as Coach Fletcher said, create a hub for martial arts here in Tobago, because access sometimes is our problem here in Tobago. And, you know, we who have traveled have gained a different level of experience, but we don't want it to always be a case where you have to travel to get that experience. So we're trying to bring the experience to the students. Now, to your question specifically, when it comes to the discipline aspect, as we always try to stress, discipline begins at home, and then we can help develop and foster it when you come to train. All right? Our students, they don't necessarily have the biggest problem with the discipline in terms of general behavior, all right? But sometimes the area that is lacking is that discipline when it comes to consistency, you know, being able to have order, structure, all right? Sometimes you see students, you know, they start and then they drop off. One of the challenges that we have is that ability to, especially when it's exam time. You know, we live in a country where test time is
Books.
Yeah, man. We, you know, the answer in your backpack kind of idea. But at the end of the day, when you give children, young people, structure, when you give them that consistency, it helps them in the latter part of their lives. All right? You don't want to have the routine broken up, because then now it gives them like confusion, right? It throws them off. They don't know how to do both things. Like for us with our lives, right? We do work, and then we have to do whatever extracurricular, and then, you know, we have to balance. So from an early age, well, what we try to do is establish that balance in their lives, right? So they could be able to manage later on.
And just for clarity, is the Martial Arts Association of Tobago, the Martial Arts Academy of Tobago? What's the correct title of the organization?
Right, so it's the Martial Arts Association of Tobago, called MAAT, right?
Right.
Essentially representing all of us who are martial artists, and, you know, we normally are on mats.
Right.
Right, so that was the idea.
Okay, yeah,
right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the ways to I guess, pique the interest, but to maintain the crop that takes part in the association and all the works that are being done. In terms of, I know the belt system naturally should build a certain level of confidence, because as you go up the ranks, you feel a certain level of higher self-esteem and so on. Tell us some of the measures for those who are definitely interested that you all would take upon to encourage them to remain in the system, because parents listening now and probably didn't even know that MAAT exists.
Right.
So you could take the opportunity to share.
All right, so as you highlighted very accurately, when you take part in martial arts, all right, any kind of activity, really and truly, you gain that level of confidence because confidence comes from skill, right? And what we do, apart from just the ranking, all right, or moving up in rank, we have things like competitions, right? Children, they love competition, right? And as we speak about bringing more martial arts into the fold, right? We have Coach Fletcher here now with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? And then you have karate, and we have weapons that we teach. And Shehan Marcus, who is the president of the Martial Arts Association of Tobago, he does Aikido. So, you know, you have that diversity of skill, right? So to be able to keep them engaged, right? So we do, because we're on an island, we sometimes do outings, we go to the beach, we train, so that they don't always have to sit in the, what you might call the dojo, right? With the place where you learn, but we let them know that their entire environment is the where you can learn. So we're always trying to keep them engaged, we're always trying to keep them inspired. We also teach in schools. Let me just take the opportunity to just highlight the fact that MAAT is really growing. She and Marcus and I have just done the examinations for CXC. Karate is part of CXC. I don't know if people know that, right?
Karate is a subject.
Under PE,
right?
Karate is one of the sports
Don't
that you can
joke.
do. I'm telling you, and we just did the examinations this year.
Right.
Right? So MAAT is not just we teaching the children in dojo, you know. As Coach Fletcher highlighted, there's many opportunities right now in martial arts. Right? So we teach in schools. We do examinations now for CXC, or facilities actually now the place where the exams are done. Right? So we're growing and we're trying to interact with students on many different levels.
All right, and I mean, ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting conversation here with MAAT, the Martial Arts Association of Tobago, and I mean, recently participated in the tournament there, and we heard now, or we're hearing now, of the inclusion of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, part of the martial arts cadre of disciplines, and I mean, very interesting conversation. I definitely didn't know about the educational part there with regards to the examination and martial arts being part, karate being part of, is it CXC he said? Yeah, I didn't know that at all, and much to learn when we take into consideration what the disciplines can do to the young mind, especially in the situation that we're living in nowadays. And right before get back into the conversation with Coach Fletcher, and we also have Sensei Marcus coming on set, we would we need to pause sometime and think about, I mean, yes, we have these traditional disciplines or the more popular disciplines on the island, but when we venture into these disciplines like martial arts, is an opportunity to, one, learn something new, but to take a different approach in terms of curbing our very disappointing situation that we are faced with on the island, unfortunately, with persons kind of losing that zeal to sacrifice and make bigger steps for the long term and their future. But let me just jump back in with our guest here, Mr. Coach Fletcher, and we have Sensei Marcus with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. So you have been around,
yes,
and you have seen the growth of the association. This, just jumping back to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu situation, naturally this was an easy thing to embrace and add to the cadre of disciplines in the association. Tell us.
Oh yes. As Sensei Lee would have said earlier, what the idea of the association in any case is to just get the more variety we can get, the better. Right? If we jump to Trinidad has a lot. What we're trying to do here is really we want to make sure that it's here as well. You don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
Tobago is filled with talent. And as you can see, Coach Fletcher just came in here and he's brought it in, and that's what we wanted. So it's a dream come true, so to say.
But what is the ideal age to start? Are you all targeting a particular age group, or is more or less open?
It's open. It's open. We have started from as low as 3 years old. We have started. I mean, our oldest student present is 72 years old. So there's that gap there. So yes, you can start.
72.
That's right, 72 years old, and he's kicking strong, so he's going.
Literally.
Yes.
Bringing Coach Fletcher back into the conversation, or you mentioned the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dealing with more submission, right? And I guess tapping out and that kind of stuff, if
That's
I'm
right. Yeah.
thinking correctly. Right. In terms of the translation of what you know to the students, how easy it is for someone who may be practicing a different type of martial arts and now morphing into or tackling this version?
Well, funnily enough, it correlates very, very easily.
Yeah.
When you take part in any kind of martial art, or mostly any kind of sport, your body awareness and your understanding of movement increases naturally. All right. Some more than others. Some may be challenged in movement, and it assists in the long run. But when they correlate over to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's not just down to martial art might deem you good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've known people who surf. They got crazy balance. I know people who have skateboarded in the UK where I used to train. Crazy balance again, and their tricks they can do. Gymnastics. They do twirls around you. They flip around you, you know? So it's not just down to a martial art. But having martial art does help because the discipline that it takes to be consistent and continuously work on improving yourself, yes, that does correlate across very, very well. The understanding of movement, learning linear movement to circular movement, that helps as well. But it's not limited per martial art.
And naturally, I'm thinking self-defense skills that naturally you would adapt once taking part in martial arts, and also problem solving and patience.
Yes.
And you think about it, because you know, although it's a sport and a discipline, you now can apply what you're practicing into real life and everyday life.
Yes.
How does that transition work out for you as a veteran practicing martial arts for all these years? You may be functioning in a day-to-day environment, and you would tap into what you would practice in martial arts, or it's just a natural synergy when you operate on a day-to-day basis?
It's something natural, or becomes natural, I should say, because you have to work at it. As the founding father of karate, Gishin Funakoshi, he said karate goes beyond the dojo. So literally what you practice in the dojo is what you would do on the battlefield, so to say. That transition there, we don't, as we keep saying over, we don't just teach karate for the sport, but it's a self-building something. We're trying to create students who would be not just a better karateka or fighter, but a good citizen, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Right. That citizen could better support you, the parent, you, your country. So, but in terms of the self-defense, it's an easy transition. It's really easy because it's exactly what it was created for.
Right. In terms of the sport, where are we from a competitive standpoint? Because naturally, if you want to attract persons, yes, they can come in and learn, but you want to be practicing amongst other strong fighters or martial artists.
Yes.
Where are we? What's our position right now, and what is the outlook for the near future?
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. We, again, trying to do a lot of stuff here in Tobago, and there's limited amount of tournaments. Yes, we're going to move over to Trinidad, and internationally is the bigger picture what we're looking at. We are close. The athletes of I'm trying to get the right words for you in terms of that work in progress, because we have to. If we want to be on the international standards, we have to train, we have to be there, and we have to put ourselves out. And this is what we're working for. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually quite worldwide. It's probably the most popular, isn't it? Right? At the moment, it's the most popular. So with that introduction into the Budokan, into the MAAT area, I think we're going to be out there soon enough.
Yeah, and Olympics Is that part of the thought process, or
Well, Olympics, there's just two martial arts at the moment, judo and taekwondo.
right? And
Karate was there at one point, but yes, we may see it again or we may not.
okay. And what is the relationship with the association in Trinidad? Is there a synergy there? Because I mean, naturally, that's disappointing news with regards to the traveling situation that would have occurred over the weekend. But what is in plan, or probably even with the Division of Sport, or even the Ministry of Sport? Tell us about the external agencies that would make your association more fruitful.
We're trying to reach out to that actually at the moment because it's a tough situation, as you would have said. It's really tough. In terms of the Olympic gold, that's a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication, first of all. So before we even reach that point of doing anything like that, it takes a lot of work. So we just want the students to know you have to be dedicated. Since he earlier talked about consistency, you need that in order for us to reach there first. So the first thing we got to do is get our students prepared here.
All right, fantastic. Coach Fletcher, any final words before we leave?
Don't lose out on a good opportunity.
Oh, yes.
Don't lose out on it. Trust me. I've known too much people to regret not doing things in life.
Yeah.
Martial arts, military, stuff like that.
Fantastic. How can persons get in touch with MAAT? Contact information or registration and so on. Feel free to share before we close.
Sure. We are on the Plymouth Road. I guess everybody knows us now, so just tell the taxi driver at the karate place.
Right.
And they all know where it is. In terms of, I can give you one number of 369-9142.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for being with us this morning. I didn't learn any gesture. Feel free to share one.
Well, you know where we are.
All right. All right. So thank you for being with us this morning. Of
Thank
course,
you.
The Martial Arts Association of Tobago, and they're located on Plymouth Road there.
Yes.
You can get a young one involved. And as you said, there's a student as old as
72
years young. So thank you for being with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with lots more.
Thank you.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
Daddy said it was our special love.
I told my granny, but she didn't help.
He was so nice when we talked online.
I threw up again, I just can't sleep.
I failed my test. I missed school last week.
Now he wants